Okay, you've heard this a million times, right? Maybe you've even said it. Oh, I'm just so left-brained, or she's a total right-brained thinker. It's one of the biggest ideas in pop psychology, but is there actually any truth to it? Let's dig in and find out.
I mean, this is the question that's launched 1,000 personality quizzes online. This idea that one half of your brain basically runs the show, dictating your personality, your skills, what you're good at. It's a really compelling story, but what does the actual science have to say?
And this is the version we all know and love, right? The left brain is the super logical, number-crunching accountant. The right brain is the free-spirited, wildly creative artist. It's a really neat and tidy story, but, the brain is rarely that simple.
So, let's step away from the myth for a second and dive into the fascinating reality of how our brain is actually put together. Because it's not a story about personality types. It's a story about incredible efficiency. See, here's the key thing to get. The brain's main goal isn't to give you a personality type. Its goal is to get work done as fast and as well as it possibly can. And splitting up the workload, well, that's just a brilliant strategy to do more and to do it a whole lot better.
And this brilliant strategy actually has a name. It's called lateralization. The best way to think about it is like a company with a highly skilled team. You wouldn't hire two people to do the exact same job, right? No! You hire specialists, and that's what the brain does. It assigns very specific, specialized jobs to each hemisphere. This division of labor, that is the real story here.
And all this is possible just because of how the brain is wired. You've got two hemispheres, a left and a right, and they are talking to each other constantly through this massive bundle of nerves called the corpus callosum. You could think of it like a super high-speed fiber optic cable. But here's the weird part. For the most part, your left brain is in charge of the right side of your body, and your right brain is in charge of the left. Kind of trippy, right?
So how in the world do we know all this? How did scientists manage to figure out which hemisphere does what? Well, it turns out the story involves some of the most clever and fascinating experiments in the entire history of neuroscience.
The huge breakthrough came from studying a unique group of patients. These were people who, as a last-ditch effort to treat extreme epilepsy, had that connecting cable, the corpus callosum, surgically cut. And for the very first time, scientists like Roger Sperry and Michael Gazzaniga could basically talk to each hemisphere, one at a time.
So here's the setup. Remember that weird wiring? If you show something to a person's left eye, that visual information goes only to their right hemisphere. So the researchers would flash an image, let's say a picture of a key, to just the left eye, and then they'd ask a really simple question. What did you see?
And what happened next was just mind-blowing. The patient would say, I didn't see anything, and they weren't lying. Why? Because the left hemisphere, which is in charge of speech, literally saw nothing. But, and this is the amazing part, the right hemisphere did see the key. And since the right hemisphere controls the left hand, the patient's left hand could just reach out and pick up the key from a bunch of objects, or even draw a picture of it. It was like two separate minds in one head. Just wow.
So those incredible split brain experiments, plus all of our modern brain scanning tech, have helped scientists map out a kind of job board for the brain, showing what each hemisphere is really good at.
And this job board is way more interesting than just logic versus art. For example, the left hemisphere generally handles the nuts and bolts of language, actually forming the words and understanding grammar. The right hemisphere, though, it's a master of spatial awareness, recognizing faces in a crowd, and even picking up on the emotional tone of your voice.
And you can really see how important this specialization is when, tragically, things go wrong. Damage to specific parts of the left hemisphere can cause something called aphasia, where a person can lose their ability to speak or understand what's being said. But damage to the right hemisphere can cause an equally strange condition called left spatial neglect, where a person becomes totally unaware of the entire left half of their universe. They might only shave the right side of their face or draw half a flower, because for their brain, the left side just doesn't exist anymore.
Okay, so let's bring it all home. It is officially time to move beyond the myth and start appreciating the way more complex and frankly, way cooler reality of our brains.
So, look, if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. You are not left-brained. You are not right-brained. You are whole-brained. Pretty much every single thing you do, whether it's solving a tough problem or just chatting with a friend, requires both hemispheres working together in perfect sync. The real magic isn't in one side being dominant. It's in the beautiful, seamless teamwork between the two.
And this isn't just a fun fact. Understanding lateralization is absolutely critical in medicine. It helps doctors figure out exactly where a stroke has occurred, it helps guide physical therapy after a brain injury, and it lets surgeons remove a tumor while being incredibly careful to avoid those crucial areas for language or attention. This knowledge literally saves lives.
So let's just throw that old question out. The interesting conversation isn't about which side of your brain is in charge. No. The real mystery, the thing that scientists are still trying to fully understand, is how do these two incredibly different, specialized processors manage to work together so perfectly to create your single unified experience of being you? That is the real marvel of the human brain.